She teased, "Single dad like you can't please woman." He leaned in and said, "Want to bet?" Maya never planned to argue with a stranger before her first sip of coffee, but the morning was already testing her patience. The cafe line crawled forward while the man ahead of her calmly negotiated with a small girl in a yellow raincoat who clearly believed muffins were a human right. He crouched to her eye level instead of shushing her, offering choices instead of commands, his voice steady and warm. It was annoyingly impressive for 8 in the morning. When the barista finally handed him the order, the child cheered like a tiny champion and he laughed, tired but genuine. The sound made Maya smile before she could stop herself. "Smooth," she said without thinking. "You handle negotiations better than most managers." He turned, surprised, a half smile forming. Up close he looked even more worn, not messy, just stretched thin, like someone balancing many responsibilities with too little sleep. "Years of practice," he replied. "High-stakes muffin diplomacy." She folded her arms. "Parenting patience doesn't equal relationship skills, though. Single dads are usually too busy to please a woman." The words slipped out playfully, but they landed with a challenge. His eyebrow lifted, amused rather than offended. "That sounds personal," he said. "Field research," she answered. "Repeated trials. Consistent results." The little girl studied Maya with open curiosity. "Daddy is good at making people happy," she declared. Maya laughed. "I'm sure he is. Just not in dating." He stepped a little closer, not invading, just confident. There was humor in his eyes now, and something competitive underneath it. "Want to bet?" She blinked. "You're betting your dating reputation on a stranger in a coffee line?" "Low risk," he said. "High entertainment value." "Daddy always wins bets," the girl added seriously. "That is statistically unverified," he said, then looked back at Maya. "1 week, 1 dinner. You judge." She should have declined. Instead, curiosity nudged her forward. "Fine, but I grade hard." "Good," he replied. "I don't study easy subjects." They ended up sharing a table because the cafe was full, and the child had already decided Maya was safe. Conversation flowed too easily. His name was Daniel. He was direct without oversharing, funny without performing, attentive without trying to impress. When his daughter spilled juice, he handled it smoothly and kept listening to Maya's story at the same time, a small thing but rare. As he packed up to leave, he said, "Tomorrow, same time. I'll submit my first piece of evidence." Maya watched them go, oddly unsettled, not because she was sure he'd fail, but because she wasn't sure he would. Maya expected the second meeting to be awkward, delayed, or quietly cancelled, the usual fate of bold coffee line promises. All day she kept her expectations low, telling herself this was just a social experiment she happened to be starring in. Still, when 6 o'clock approached, she checked her reflection twice and changed her earrings. Purely accidental effort, she told herself. At exactly 6, her phone buzzed. "Daniel, I'm outside. No rush, take your time." "No here." "No pressure, just calm." She noticed that. He stood beside a modest, clean car, not scrolling his phone but watching the sunset like he had nowhere else he'd rather be. When he saw her, he smiled. Not the wide, performative kind, but the relieved kind, like a plan had come together correctly. "You're punctual," she said. "I schedule chaos," he replied. "It behaves better when it thinks it's supervised." He had chosen a rooftop restaurant tucked above a bookstore. Quiet, warm lights, soft music, spaced tables. Not trendy, not loud, thoughtful. She paused halfway to her chair. "How did you pick this place?" "You said yesterday you hate shouting over speakers and pretending it's fun," he said simply. She searched her memory. She had said that in passing. He had stored it. Dinner flowed without the usual interview-style tension. He didn't try to dominate the conversation or sell himself. He asked questions and actually waited through her full answers. When she described a frustrating client situation, he didn't jump in with fixes or stories about himself. He listened, then asked, "What outcome would make that easier for you next time?" The question was so specific, it caught her off guard. "You always this attentive?" she asked. "Only when it matters." "And I matter because I'm part of your bet?" He smiled slightly. "No. The bet exists because you're interesting enough to try for." It was a clean line, no smirk, no swagger, and that made it land harder. Halfway through the meal, she realized he hadn't checked his phone once. Not when it buzzed. Not when it lit up. It stayed face down. "Babysitter?" she asked. "My sister," he said. "She sends memes if things are fine and calls if they're not." No memes yet, so we're good. There it was again, planned, not improvised. By dessert, Maya felt her guard doing something unfamiliar, lowering without being pushed. The evening felt easy, balanced, adult. No performance, no chasing approval. Outside, as the night air cooled, she folded her arms and studied him. "All right," she said lightly. "Strong opening argument." "Opening?" he asked. "You're not winning yet." Daniel nodded once, confident and relaxed. "Good, I plan more evidence." By midweek, Maya had almost convinced herself the bet was harmless, charming, even until her day collapsed all at once. A client rejected a proposal she'd spent nights perfecting. Her manager wanted revisions by morning, and to complete the trilogy of irritation, her car refused to start in the office parking lot just as heavy rain began to fall. She sat behind the wheel, listening to the dead click of the ignition, jaw tight. She scrolled her contacts twice before stopping on Daniel's name. "This is not what the bet is for," she told herself. Still, frustration overruled pride. "My car won't start. I'm stranded. Do you know a reliable tow service?" She hit send and instantly regretted it. The reply came in under a minute. "Location? Stay inside. I'm nearby." Nearby, she frowned but sent the pin. 10 minutes later, headlights pulled in beside her through the rain. Daniel stepped out with an umbrella already open, moving quickly but without panic. He tapped lightly on her window, smiling like this was expected, not inconvenient. "You said tow service," she said, opening the door. "Not rescue mission." "Tow service is coming," he said. "Rescue mission is complimentary." She laughed despite herself and stepped under the umbrella. He walked her to his car first, dry before discussing anything else. Inside, the heater was already on. A small paper bag sat in the cup holder. "You skip meals," he said, handing it to her. "Crackers and a protein bar, non-negotiable." "You're weirdly prepared," she said. "I rescheduled my gym hour when you texted," he replied. "Same time slot, better use. Not I cancelled for you." Not martyr language, just adjustment. They waited while the tow truck arrived. He handled the logistics smoothly, asked the driver the right questions, confirmed the drop-off location, and made sure Maya approved each step instead of speaking over her. In the drizzle and flashing amber lights, she watched him operate, calm, respectful, efficient, and realized competence was attractive in a very unfair way. When they finally got back into his car, she exhaled. Most people would have sent a number and a thumbs-up emoji. "Most people aren't trying to win a bet," he said lightly. She studied him. "This still about winning?" He shook his head once. "No, winning would be easy. Big gestures, flashy plans. I'm trying to be consistent. That's harder." The words settled between them. On the drive home, they talked, really talked, about time, responsibility, and how his life became structured after becoming a father. No self-pity, no hero narrative, just truth. At her building, she paused before getting out. "How are you this available?" Daniel met her eyes, voice quiet and steady. "I'm not available to everyone. I'm intentional with who matters." For the first time since the coffee shop, Maya felt the bet shift from playful to dangerous, because she was starting to hope he'd keep proving himself right. Saturday morning arrived without a formal plan, which immediately made Maya suspicious. After 3 carefully executed evidence points, she expected something elaborate. Reservations, timing, presentation. Instead, Daniel's message was simple. Pancake morning, 9 a.m., come if you want real life. No performance. Real life sounded more intimidating than fine dining. Still she went. His home was warm, lived in, and honest, shoes by the door. A child's drawings taped slightly crooked on the wall. The faint smell of vanilla and coffee in the air. Music played softly from a kitchen speaker while his daughter stood on a stool wearing an oversized apron and dramatic seriousness. "You're late," the child announced. "It's 9:02, Daniel said. "That's late," she repeated. Maya laughed. "I accept my failure." There were no staged moments, just motion. Batter slightly lumpy. Counter dusted with too much flour. Daniel flipping pancakes while simultaneously supervising syrup distribution and answering Maya's question about her work deadline. He never made her feel like a guest who shouldn't touch anything. "Stir," he said, handing her a bowl. "You're on Team Pancake now." I didn't agree to manual labor, she protested, but stirred anyway. The first pancake burned. The second folded in half. The third was perfect, and his daughter raised both arms like a sports victory. Daniel celebrated each attempt equally. "Why cheer the bad ones?" Maya asked. "Because she tried the same amount," he said. "Effort counts every time." They ate at the small table. Mismatched plates, uneven shapes, too much syrup. Conversation overlapped with interruptions and laughter. Daniel cut fruit between bites, remembered Maya took less sugar in her coffee, and listened to his daughters. Long story about a playground. Injustice with full attention. No rushing, no dismissing. It hit Maya quietly. Pleasing someone wasn't charm. It was presence. After breakfast, dishes were done as a team operation. No gender roles, no show, just rhythm. When she helped dry, their shoulders bumped once, twice, easy, unforced. At the door, the morning light sat soft across the hallway. No dramatic pause, no practiced line. Daniel leaned against the frame, relaxed. "So," he asked gently, "who won?" "The bet," she said. He shook his head. "No, the chance." She looked at him, at the steadiness, the humor, the intentional care threaded through ordinary moments, and realized her original claim had quietly fallen apart somewhere between burnt pancakes and remembered coffee preferences. She stepped closer, voice warm. "Ask me on another date and I'll give the official verdict." He smiled, not surprised, just certain. "Next Friday. No bet attached." This time, she said, "I'm not grading." "Good," he replied. "I'm not performing."